Trial Attorney Justin Leto joins me now on the phone to talk more about the legal side of the case, what could come out of the Justice Department meeting. Justin, you know, it seems that in the past few days, everyone seems to have gotten a crash course in what they think is the law. We are not attorneys. So how do you see the issues as an attorney, and perhaps how you think some of us may not be grasping the issues?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me this afternoon and let me do this by telephone. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. But let me just tell you, the stand your ground law is a very complicated issue that we're all starting to learn about. And frankly, just as a citizen of the state of Florida, not a lawyer, but a citizen and a father and a family person, it's a scary law when you think about it, because it gives people more of a right to use lethal force than they have anywhere else in the United States. Typically, if you're in your own home, you do not have what's called a duty to retreat. You don't have to step back. If someone's attacking you in your home, you can use deadly force if you feel threatened, and that's reasonable. But the stand your ground law allows you to do the very same thing in public, out in the open. So if you feel that you're being threatened by somebody, they don't even have to be armed. They can just be coming at you, and instead of running the other way or doing something to contact authorities, you can shoot and kill them. And that gives people what I consider to be a license to kill, and it's a law that, based upon what happened in this case with Trayvon Martin, hopefully will be revisited and looked at again, because it just gives people too much freedom to be vigilante law enforcement officers when they don't have a right to do so.
Justin, I think that the problem that so many people have is, how is it that you can just say that to a law enforcement officer and that's not an issue that is taken to a jury of your peers at the very least? How is it that you can just say that X, Y, and Z happened and then you just, you know, dust your hands off and that's that? At the very least, if that's something that you say happened, how is that not taken to court?
Well, that's what's confusing to me about this case when I look at it, and that's why, you know, with all due respect to this police chief, I think he made the right move by stepping down, because how can he possibly sit there in a position of authority when he hasn't done what I think to be the necessary investigation before determining that Mr. Zimmerman should not be arrested? You know, you have somebody who's dead. The very least, they should have tested his blood to see if he was on any type of drugs or had any alcohol in his system. And then they should have done a full-scale forensics test and at least kept him as a suspect before making a determination that he is free from any type of liability or any type of criminal justice system liability. Because you can't just walk away from these things. They're taking him at face value, his word, and you have to do a more detailed investigation. I don't think this is the way that the law was meant to be applied, and the way they're applying it in this particular town in Florida is showing what the problems are with this law on a much grander scale. There's also a lot of issues here having to do with race, and I think that people need to realize that they can't hide from the fact that this could very well be a racially motivated shooting, and just because of the fact that this young man was black, Mr. Zimmerman acted differently than he would have if it was a white kid. And, you know, you can't step away from that. You have to look into that and investigate it and see if this was a racially motivated hate crime. None of that was done, and I think that's why you're seeing such an outcry and why ultimately this police chief had to step down.
Justin, thank you so much for your perspective on this. We're having to ask ourselves a lot of really tough questions. We appreciate your insight, and if you want to take a look.